what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Fraki. I am a street artist from Belgium and I'm focusing mainly on realism, street art and murals. On this channel, I share my murals, my process and a little bit everything around street art culture. But recently I asked you guys on Instagram to send me some questions about graffiti. Graffiti, street art and my personal work. I got a lot of really good questions, so today I'm going to answer some of them in my Q&A. Let's get into it. The first question, how did you start with graffiti and street art? For me, actually it started with drawing. I've always been interested in drawing faces and trying to make things look realistic. When I discovered graffiti and street art, I realized that you could take those drawing skills and put them on huge walls in public spaces. At first, I was just sketching a lot in my sketchbooks, practicing eyes, faces, shadows, trying to understand how light works, and eventually I started experimenting with spray paint and learning how to translate those drawings onto walls. My first works were really into the more cartoonish and illustrative work. But when I was working on big scale and big murals, the impact is completely different compared to drawing on paper. It becomes something people in the street can experience. Why do I focus on realism street art? Well, realism always has fascinated me because it's a challenge. With realism, you have to pay attention to light, shadows, textures, and proportions. Even small mistakes can change the whole look of a face or a portrait. But that challenge is also what makes it fun. I also like how realism connects with people. When someone walks past a mural and instantly recognizes a face or emotion in it, there is an immediate reaction. People stop, they take photos, or we have some talks about it. For me, that connection between art and people in the streets is one of the coolest things of the street art and the things that I do. Another question I get a lot is, what materials do you use for street art? Most of the time I work with spray paints. Montana 94 is one of my favorite brands, and I use different caps depending on what I need. For example, if I want very soft shading for skin tones or shadows, I use caps that create a softer spray. If I need sharper lines or details, I switch to different caps. Besides spray paints, I also use markers or paint markers for small details. I usually prepare things in my sketchbook or digitally, and that helps me plan the composition, the light and the color palette. How long does a mural take? It depends. Realism usually take quite a bit of time because there are many layers involved. First you have to sketch the basic shapes on the wall. Then you start building shadows from dark to light, then the midtones, then the highlights and the details. That's a process you do step by step. Sometimes I also step back a lot to check if everything looks balanced from a distance. Smaller piece might take a few hours, but larger murals can take an entire day or even multiple days depending on the complexity and the level of detail. Where do I get my inspiration? I get my inspiration from a lot of places. Obviously from other street artists and muralists, especially artists who are pushing realism in creative ways. Smug One is a big inspiration. But inspiration also comes from photography, movie, music, everyday life. Sometimes a strong facial expression, lighting in a photo or a certain emotion can spark an idea for a mural. I think inspiration is everywhere. You must train your eye to notice interesting things. The hardest part about realism street art, for me, the hardest part is the proportions and the lighting, to get that exactly right, especially on a big wall. It's not so easy. When you're painting something like a portrait, even a small mistake in the eye or in the mouth can change the entire expression or the person. When you scale it up to a large mural, it becomes even more challenging. That's why I constantly step back and look at the piece from a distance. Sometimes when you are up close to a wall or a mural, you think you are good, but when you step back, it's completely not in the right direction. Advice for beginners. I think I am a beginner myself. You have to be always learning, but my biggest advice is practice drawing first. Learn how to draw faces, shadows and proportions on paper will help you a lot when you move to walls. Spray paint is just another tool, but the fundamentals of drawing are really important. Also, don't be afraid to experiment and make mistakes. I make mistakes a lot, but with spray paint you can always redo your art. Every artist develops its style over time, and the more you practice, the better you get. Alright, that was it for the Q&A. Thanks for everyone who sent in your questions. I really appreciate the support and the interest in my work. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments if you want another Q&A or if you want more videos about my street art process. And I will see you in the next video. See you next time.